Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Volkmar the Grim in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. The descendant, the direct descendant of Sigmar. So really, when you're playing Volkmar, you're playing the true heir of the Empire. Even if he doesn't start in the Empire, he does actually have a significant amount of potential towards making an Imperial campaign work very, very well. Now, this is more of a campaign that you're going to benefit from the various effects that you do have over here in the long term as opposed to short term. In the short term, it's kind of crappy, but it is good in the long term. Like, if you're looking for an Imperial campaign, short campaign, Marcus Wolfhard is the best choice because you can get a lot of powerful units quicker. But if you're looking at playing a very long campaign as the Empire, World Domination, or close to it, then Volkmar is the best choice. As usual, it starts with climate. He has a lot of climate available, be it wasteland, temperate, savanna, desert, and jungle. Now, having the wasteland in particular means that he can take territory all the way from where he starts in Sudenburg into the very core of the Empire. And I'll talk about confederations in just a moment. But still, Volkmar has a lot of territorial potential, simply because of that, because basically all the climate from down south over here to over here, basically in the Darklands, is available to him. Now, he doesn't have mountains, which does limit his potential to a certain extent, but it is still a very good climate situation that he does have to work with. Faction effects-wise, he does get a hero recruit rank +4 for witch hunters, warrior priests, as well as various benefits. Most crucial of these benefits is the battle prayer cooldown. Now, one of the best ways to play the Empire is to get a lot of warrior priests. The reason you want to get a lot of warrior priests, though how quickly you get them depends on your particular playstyle. Personally, I do like to build my settlements properly, and then once they are all tier 3, unlock them. But with warrior priests, you can increase capacity at tier 3. So you getting a 33% cooldown reduction for battle prayers and accusation, which is a witch hunter ability, which will help you against heroes and lords, because it is a debuff, a fairly strong one. And then plus for hero recruit rank means that you're going to be recruiting a lot of warrior priests at rank 5. And that is a fairly substantial benefit, because again, spamming warrior priests is a really good thing to do. Now, witch hunters, different discussion, because you can only increase their capacity at tier 4, though you can recruit them at a fairly high rank regardless. So with the benefits, you're looking at recruiting rank 9 witch hunters in this particular campaign whenever you're recruiting that. So that is in itself also a fairly substantial benefit. Then if we look at his skill line, he gets 4 control in the local province, various benefits for flagellants, empire, knights, and free company militias. Now, these are not useful at all, but what is useful is getting a second nature, so that's a 50% cooldown to battle prayers on top of the 33% cooldown to battle prayers that you do have. That obviously only applies to him. You do get Strength of the Penitent for his entire army, so he can make a melee army work quite well, and this is a really useful buff for the Empire. 20% casualty replenishment, so you don't even need a warrior priest in this particular army. Flaming attacks, armor-piercing weapon damage, hero capacity for both warrior priests and witch hunters that you can get earlier on. So you can get a lot of warrior priests. You can get more warrior priests and witch hunters than anyone else, and you can get them at a far higher level. He also has 2 quest items, and it's these quest items that also help him out quite a bit. Because in this particular campaign, for instance, I've confederated Talabayam, though the city of I've confederated Talabecland, though Talabayam had fallen to Festus, but I managed to rally a situation over here and defeat Festus, basically. And also confederated Norland, because one of the key benefits, one of the most significant benefits that actually makes this campaign good in the long term is the fact that you can confederate via diplomacy with other Imperial factions. But unlike Marcus Wolfhard, who also has the same ability, you actually have vision with the Empire, because your quest battles, your 2 quest battles, are taking place in Empire. So when you go fight them, or even if you don't fight them, when you trigger them, you just need to trigger them, like teleport there, you don't need to fight the battle, just trigger them. You can then get vision with the Empire and engage with diplomacy with the Empire, which will give you the ability of confederating these factions. Just build up these relationships. Like, as long as you maintain a huge amount of faction strength, so minimize losses in battles, maintain multiple armies. You will be able to get good relations with these factions, because the Imperial factions do like each other, and you will have various opportunities for confederations. Which factions you actually get to confederate, that's a different discussion. In this case, it was Talabheim and Nordland. It could be the Osland is going to be available for confederation in just one turn once this debuff goes away. Most likely, I imagine that they will be available to Confederation. The key to Confederation, having 150 plus diplomatic relations, having a faction that's much weaker than you, and also having a faction that's weaker than you, but also you're not necessarily fighting their opponents. So in this case, I am allied with Osland. Still, you can, I mean, it's better if you don't ally a faction, because your military alliance is actually going to count towards their faction strength. But with these minor factions of the Empire, it is actually pretty easy. And there's also a penalty to take into account. So if a faction takes territory during a turn, they get like a 7-turn penalty to Confederation. So like the way Confederation works is like there's a diplomatic downside over here, like a modifier, and basically if a faction has taken territory one turn, then you get that downside in terms of confederations. Now, furthermore, you also have to account for how he gets the state troopers of the Empire, because he does have access to them, how he gets access to the state troopers of the Empire, and how he gets access to the items of the Empire. He collects Books of Nagash. Now, there is significant downsides with the Books of Nagash, because you actually need to take territory. Like, for instance, here, what should happen is you should be able to get them with diplomacy. So over here, for instance, I'm in a military alliance with both Forek and Krakar, who are wiping out Khalida, but because I won't be able to get Lamia myself, I won't be able to pick up the Book of Nagash. So I either need to declare war on a faction that is an ally of mine, or I need to take a bunch of territory and trade it for Lamia, which is not particularly great. So the book system, the collection system actually sucks, like a lot. Like I think like it's a really crappy system that you have to deal with. Like there's rogue armies that you have to deal with. You have one in Wolf 1 because reasons. And then yeah, you have quite a few settlements like Arcade Peaks, Gavenbly, Lamia, White Tower of Hoeth that you have to deal with. So it is annoying having to collect them. And this is where I really get to the point that Volkmar is a good campaign in the long term, because it will take time to get them. But if you do get them, you start getting an enormous level of power. So you're going to get all the items I would like. You're going to get a Mother's Ruin, the letter, various other benefits over here. You won't gain the same kind of benefits that for various lords that you do get from the Electrocounts, but you do get the upkeep benefit for Electrocount State Troopers. So minus 70% upkeep for Electrocount State Troopers. All of the items, all of those special units, and you do start with Eldred's Guards. That's the one that you get on one book. There's a rogue army over here in this area, which, yeah, these guys are really worth getting. And most importantly, you get 15% ward save toward characters. You already have benefits towards getting quite a lot of characters, but Warrior Priest with 15% ward save and the Battle Prayer cooldown of 33%, which is not limited by Winds of Magic. I mean, there's a reason why spamming Warrior Priest is one of the best strategies for the Empire. It does highlight how crappy the Empire is in other ways, and make no mistake, Volkmar may have a lot of power, but the Empire is still rubbish. Still, you get 15% ward save, you get all of the items available. You may not necessarily have the same kind of lord effects that all those other lords get, but the sheer fact that you have vision, no limitations on confederation, like I would rather play a campaign as Volkmar and unify the Empire through regular diplomatic confederation. You'll do it faster, I might add, than Karl Franz. Like, it's turn 27, I've already got 2 electric counts, and I'm about to get a third, and maybe that third will actually be Midland, for instance, because I've traded some territory to them. That is actually a faster rate than you might be able to do with Karl Franz. Sure, you might have to fight Festus and others, other difficult lords of secondary and tertiary armies, but it is doable. Just avoid Draika, though usually Draika will end up in a war with Azak, so you can use that to your own advantage. It is a crappy starting position, I admit, like Sündenberg just starting as a tier 2 settlement, but one of the slots taken up by a port. It does limit the potential you do have in this particular province. You do have a very difficult fight early on with Manfred. It will take you time to actually get access to these warrior priests in your campaign, but yeah, once you get access, one thing to point out, there's research over here that gives you hero recruit rank for warrior priests and witch hunters, so you're really recruiting them at an insanely high level, and that is very, very powerful and very beneficial in your campaign, because it means that you might get access to their battle prayers much earlier than in other campaigns. In fact, maybe I should demonstrate this in this specific campaign, what I'm talking about right here. So, just a bit of diplomacy over there. Also, because you get vision on the Empire, and you have obviously your own personal vision, you actually get a lot more diplomatic deals, which give you potential. You won't be able to get Soulfire from the very beginning, but you will be able to get both Shield of Fate and Hammer of Sigmar, Impassioned, Wild-Eyed, Faith Bastion for the damage reduction, and just having to get 2 ranks, that's not really a problem. If there is any significant issue in this particular campaign, and there are obviously some, is that the victory conditions are stupid. I mean, the long campaign victory condition is not a problem, but the short campaign victory condition is ridiculous. Defeating Kairos when you want to go in the exact opposite direction for the books, for your overall campaign plan, for the territory you want to acquire, as opposed to dealing with a slow-paced jungle. Like, why would I want to go in jungle? I can make alliances with both Tic-Tac-Toe and Grokgar and Forik and Teclis. So why would I want to go south? But the thing is, if you're hoping any of these guys will be able to defeat Kairos, I mean, maybe if you're lucky with action potential, but it's just as likely that you end up in a situation where Kairos has that faction potential, and you're ending up in this kind of state of affairs where they're not going to be able to defeat him, which is pretty damn annoying to deal with. So you're going to miss out on this short campaign victory condition, which is actually really powerful because it's all about the hero spam for the Empire, and +3 hero capacity is pretty damn good. I have to say, like, missing out on that, because, like, you could rush Kairos, but it's still gonna take dozens of turns, like 24 turns easily, even if you put all the effort in your campaign towards defeating him as quickly as possible. So that sucks. That is the one major downside, but outside of that, there's a lot of things to like. Just the starting situation is pretty crappy. It does take a time to build up, but that's kind of an issue with the Empire as a whole, with the exception of Marcus Wolfhard. The potential, however, towards a long campaign is there, despite all the frustrations that do exist in it. You have a lot of potential allies, you have a lot of diplomatic possibilities, you have a lot of good effects in this faction. Like, yeah, if I'm playing a long campaign as the Empire, this is the campaign I would recommend for everyone. Costin, signing out.